Welcome to Unbelievable Stories. Today's story is full of shocking twists and real drama. Subscribe and like to stay updated. Let's dive in. I once believed I had the perfect life, a devoted wife, a flourishing career, and everything I could have hoped for. But that illusion came crashing down one fateful night. My wife, Jennifer, who I cherished deeply, was entangled in a secret affair with my boss. It started innocently enough with late-night messages and discreet looks, but it soon spiraled into something far more devastating. I watched in disbelief as the truth unfolded, exposing her lies and betrayal. Heartbroken, I resolved to confront their deceit and reclaim what was left of my shattered world. Mark Stevens sat in the dark, alone, thinking hard. Not long ago, he thought he had everything: a great job at a good company that paid well, a nice home, and a wife who loved him. He still had the job and the home, but his love life was now in pieces. He thought back to when he first met Jennifer, his wife for almost 4 years. She had just joined the company he worked for, the Anderson Financial Services. This company helped small businesses handle their money. Jennifer started by doing small office tasks that needed to be done, then about 9 months ago she became the executive assistant to Richard Bennett, John's boss. Tom was part of the family that started the company. His granddad set it up, and his dad, William, was the current big boss. William put his son Tom into the business right after he finished college, making him learn from the ground up. Tom did well and got moved up to regional manager, only answering to William and the board. One day Tom would take over everything, but that was still a long way off. John really looked up to William. To him, William was like a second dad, helping John adjust to normal life after he got hurt in Iraq. They met while John was doing tough exercises to get better. William, who was there for a meeting, stopped to watch John and was impressed. Over lunch that day, William learned that John had just finished his business studies before going off to fight. They talked a lot, and William found out more about John's drive and his past. William liked the young Marine a lot and offered him a job then and there. John was taken aback but said yes and started working for William the next Monday. That was almost 8 years back. John got better with help and put his all into work, also taking night classes for his MBA. Then he met Jennifer. He liked her a lot from the start. After making sure work was okay with it, he asked her out. They dated, fell in love, and got married. William shocked John by paying for their trip to Greece for their honeymoon. 2 years after getting married, William hired his son Tom. John hoped Tom would be like his dad, but he was not. Tom liked to show off, always reminding people who his dad was and that he would one day get the top office. Tom ended up making everyone not like him. One day, William talked to John about his son, sharing the same worries others had. Soon he'll need to make him the regional manager, William said. I get it, John replied. I'm hoping you can set a good example and help Tom get used to the job, William said. Can you do that? I'll try, William, John said, but it won't be easy. Be honest about him, John, William said. Leave out that he's my son. Tell me the truth. All right, John said. He thinks too highly of himself to do well. I think he won't listen, flirts too much, and uses his name to get what he wants. Jennifer says he's just asking for trouble, talking too much about the women he chases. William shook his head. I feared that, he said. His mom spoiled him since he was small, let him do too much. I thought bringing him in might help him grow up a bit. They'll have to chat with him. So when's Henry Turner going to stop working? John asked. Henry Turner, the big boss now, had been here a long time and everyone liked him. Had been talking about stopping work for a while and got a place up in Montana so he and his wife could enjoy the quiet while they were still not too old. In the next half a year or so, William said. He really wants to. I get it, honestly, John said. William left the room saying he'd keep in touch. John knew he meant it. There were things John noticed in Tom that he didn't share with William. Looking back, he thought maybe he should have. A few months after that talk, Bill stopped working, and William gave Tom his job. Tom started changing things quick. Some changes were okay, but John wasn't sure about some others. Still, he kept doing his work, trying not to let Tom bother him too much. Tom did change as he got used to the job, but John didn't really like how Tom liked to control everything too much, which annoyed the team. He also moved people around a lot, sometimes into jobs they couldn't do well in. One day, about 9 months back, Tom walked into John's office. He sat down as John was talking to a client on the phone. When John finished, he saw Tom smiling in a way he didn't like. "What do you need, Tom?" John asked. "I'm thinking about getting a new EA," he said, "and I think Jennifer would be great for it." "My wife?" John said. "That Jennifer?" Tom nodded, still smiling. "Yep, the same one," Tom said. "What's wrong with Gretchen?" John asked. Gretchen Wilson had worked as Bill's EA for years. "Nothing," Tom said. "Looks like she's planning to stop working soon and the office could do with a fresh face." John thought to himself it seemed more like Tom wanted a new pretty face around. "Have you talked to Jennifer yet?" John said. "Not yet," he answered. "Wanted to see what you thought first." "Oh?" John asked, curious. "Thanks, but why me?" "I just want to know what she's like," Tom replied. "You know, living with her and all. Is she tough to handle or is she always happy? Is she fun or all business? I want to know what to expect if I hire her." John didn't like where this was heading. "Listen, Tom," John said firmly. "Jennifer and I are happy together. Yes, she's great to be with and she's my wife. Also, she's a pro. If you think she's right for the job, then ask her. It's up to her if she takes it or not, but remember, she's my wife." John made sure to stress that point. "I get it," Tom said. "You've heard the talk and it bugs you. I would feel the same if I had someone as stunning as Jennifer. The job involves travel, sometimes even nights away. Are you cool with that?" "I trust Jennifer," John stated. "If she's okay with the job, knowing it includes travel, then she knows the limits, and I expect you to respect those limits and our marriage." "Sure thing, John buddy," Tom smirked. "You and my dad are close. He admires you and so do I. Trust me, I would never mess with you and Jennifer." "Better not," John said. "Who knows," Tom added. "Could even land you a higher spot too." That evening, John talked to Jennifer. "Did Tom talk to you today?" he asked as she finished up their dinner. "Yeah," she replied. "He hinted at wanting me to be his new assistant." "And how do you see it?" John asked. "It would mean going places and staying up late, but it would also bring a good pay bump," she said. "We sure could use the extra cash, thinking of having kids someday." "Why, is something on your mind?" "I just can't forget what you said about him being trouble," John said. "Do you still feel that way?" "I would not be honest if I said it didn't worry me," she said. "I do hear things. Do you trust me?" She looked at him, waiting for an answer. "Of course I trust you," he said, "but him, I don't trust him at all. He stopped by my office today to ask about you. I found it odd." "Really?" "That's just him," she said. "What did you say?" Her eyebrows went up. "I said you're wonderful to be with, and that's the truth," John said. "I made sure he knew we're happy together, and that he should respect that." "I would want that too," she said. "Good," John said. "So, are you taking the job?" "I think so," she answered. That night, they shared a loving moment before sleep. She took the job like they thought. She was away every other week for 2 days and worked late 3 times a week. John did his best to be there for Jennifer in her new job. He watched out but saw nothing wrong with how she did her job. Then something bad happened. Just over 5 months back, William had a big health scare, a stroke right at work. They called for help and took him to the hospital, but he didn't make it through the night. He was gone before he woke up. It hit everyone hard at work, and they all went to his funeral. John and Jennifer were at a loss, seeing how many showed up. Tom thought he'd step into his dad's big chair and be the boss after his dad passed away suddenly, but the company's big shots didn't agree. They said Tom was just not ready and picked Christopher Walsh to fill in until they found someone right for the job. That hit Tom hard, and he decided to show he could do it. He had Jennifer working all hours, night after night, and took her on trips most weekends. It didn't matter if John and Jennifer had plans. This schedule was tough on both of them, and it started to hurt their marriage. First off, they never got close anymore. Then he saw changes in what Jennifer wore. She used to dress all smart for work, but now she chose outfits that showed a bit more. Also, she wasn't the same with him. She used to be so warm and kind, but now she seemed upset a lot and would snap at him over small stuff. He thought it might just be because she was so stressed with her job. Then one Sunday, when Jennifer got back from an Austin trip, he knew they had to talk. "Jennifer," he said, "we need to chat." "About what?" she replied, voice sharp. "About us," he said. "I barely see you. What Tom's making you do, it's too much. It's hurting you, and it's hurting us. We need some time off, just us, to fix things." "I'm sorry," she said after a pause, sounding tired. "Tom's just got so much going on, it's a mess. I can't just step away." "Tell Tom you're taking a week off," he urged. "You've got the time. We need this, or we're not going to make it." She was quiet for a bit, thinking. He could tell she felt troubled too. At last, she nodded. "You're right, John," she agreed. "I really need a break. Tom's been making me work real hard these last 5 months. I'll talk to him tomorrow." "Promise?" "Please do," John said. The next day, Jennifer came home looking happier than John had seen in a long while. "What happened?" John asked. "I talked to Tom like I said I would, and he agreed we should take it easy," she said. "He said we could take next week off if we like, but we have to go to his party Friday night." "Party?" John asked. "What kind of party?" "Just a small meet-up with him and some friends," she said. John wasn't too keen on this because he wasn't a fan of Tom, and he thought it wasn't good to get too chummy with your boss. As they say, being too close can lead to trouble. Plus, he was unsure about the other guests. "Do you know any of these folks?" John asked. "I've met a few," she said. "They're mostly Tom's college pals, but a couple work with clients. I'm not sure who else will be there, though." "I see," John said. "Okay, but you have to make sure you're home at a normal time this week. Can you do that?" "I think so," she said. "But we have to work on the Henderson account on Wednesday. Tom is having a dinner with them, and he needs me there." John knew about the Baker engineering account. It had become important because William had been in charge before he got sick. "Okay," John said. "Wednesday night, but you have to be home at a normal time the rest of the week. Deal?" She smiled and hugged him. "Deal," she whispered, kissing him. The next day, Tom came to John's office and sat down like he always does with that annoying grin. "What can I do for you, Tom?" John asked. "Jennifer told me you guys are good for Friday night," Tom said. "Jennifer?" John thought. "Yeah, we talked a bit last night," John said. "If she gets back early this week and we have next week to just be us, sure. We've got that meal with the Henderson people on Wednesday, but I swear no late nights after that." "What sort of party is this?" asked John. "And who's going to be there?" "Just a chill hangout," Tom said. "Some college pals of mine. One works with a client, but it's laid back. Dress casual. Just bring Jennifer." "Yeah," John took this in and gave a nod. Tom had more to say. "Hey, John pal," Tom said, making John cringe a bit. "You were spot on. Jennifer's great to have around. Thanks for not fussing over her needing time to work. She's really good at what she does. I would be stuck without her." John wasn't sure how to feel. "Good to hear you like her work, Tom," he said. "Just one thing." "Yeah?" Tom said. "Do you call her Jennifer to her face?" John asked. "Sure," he said. "Why?" "Just wondering," John said. "That's all." That night, he talked to Jennifer about it while they were having dinner. "Do you let Tom call you Jennifer?" he asked. "Just wondering, 'cause you never let me use that name." "I guess since he's my boss, he can call me what he wants," said Jennifer. John let it go, but it bothered him. The rest of the week was pretty good, and apart from Wednesday night, she was back home on time and they were close every chance they got. Come Friday, after John pulled on jeans and a simple shirt, he watched Jennifer get ready for the party and noticed the dress she picked. He had never seen it before and wondered when she had bought it. It was way shorter than her other dresses and showed a lot more skin. Wow, John said. You look amazing. Maybe we should just stay in. She flashed a smile. Nope, she replied. That's for later. And where did you get that dress? John asked. It's not like your usual style. I picked it up in Austin, she answered. Tom wanted me to wear it tonight. That figures, he thought. Be careful, John warned. Someone might get the wrong message. She laughed. I don't think so, she said. Everyone knows the limits. They better, John said, wrapping her in a hug. He tried to kiss her, but she stopped him. Later, she said. I don't want to ruin my makeup. They headed to Tom's place, a fancy 2-story townhouse. When they rang the bell, Tom welcomed them in. John could faintly smell weed and felt uneasy. 3 guys around Tom's age showed up, and Tom introduced them to John. This is our main man, Mark Stevens, Tom announced with a wide grin. And these are Michael Thompson, Patrick Wilson, and Simon Clark. Eric works for Henderson, by the way. John met all 3 guys with a handshake, wondering why Tom called him the man of the hour. He also thought about why Tom didn't introduce Jennifer to them. Did she know them already? Tom then turned to Jennifer. Wow, Jennifer, you look so hot in that dress, he said. I knew it. Don't you guys think so? He asked, looking at the others. They all agreed, almost drooling over her. Jennifer smiled and spun around, showing off the dress. They let out whistles of liking. John had to agree she did look nice, but he wasn't happy with how Tom was acting. Oops, where are my good ways? Tom said. Let me get you 2 something to drink. Jennifer, white wine for you, right? And you, John? That works for me too, John said. I really don't drink a lot. My body can't take much. John didn't really have a problem with drinks. In truth, he could outdrink them if he wanted. He used to drink a lot but stopped while in the Marines. The last time he drank too much, he almost hurt someone bad. He promised himself he wouldn't drink like that again. No worries, Tom said. They'll be right back. Tom came back with 2 drinks and gave them to John and Jennifer. Jennifer drank a lot from hers quickly while John sipped his slowly. John felt something was off and decided to stay as clear-headed as possible. Tom asked everyone to sit in the living room. John followed Jennifer and saw her choose a small sofa. He wanted to sit by her, but Tom sat there first. John then sat on a couch across from them and kept an eye on his wife. Tom caught his look. Sorry, pal, he said. Just used to sitting here. It's fine, John replied, watching his wife closely. She looked back but couldn't make out his face. They sat for a bit, just making light talk. Tom glanced at John before he began. My dad said you were a Marine, he noted. John gave a nod. Yep, I was in for 5 years, then got sent home for health reasons, he shared. Alex peered at John. Marines, right? He poked. I hear they're tough. You ever fight? Ever take someone out? Slowly, John nodded. He didn't like it when folks brought this up. Yes, he spoke softly. Which? Fight or take someone out? Alex pushed. Both, replied John. Jennifer stared at him, shocked. This was new to her. He spent years trying to push those memories away. You never mentioned that, she said. Don't like talking about it, he answered. George pulled out a big bag. John knew it as weed. It was okay to buy here, but he wasn't into it, having tried once in high school. Hey, George chimed. Got some good stuff. Want to try? Sure, Tom jumped in. The rest, including Jennifer, said. Yes. John hadn't seen her smoke, not even weed. George rolled a big one and lit it. He passed it around, and all took a puff. When it came to John, he waved it off. No thanks, he said. Not for me. Eric moved it on to Tom. Tom took a puff and faced John. Loosen up, John, he pressed. It's just a bit of fun. You do you, John replied. I would rather stay sharp tonight. Your call, dude, Tom said. It's a party. If you end up too out of it, you can crash here. You've got next week off. He looked at Jennifer. Shotgun? He asked. John was taken aback as she grinned and nodded keenly. Yeah, she said. Tom had the burning end in his mouth, and Jennifer opened hers as he blew lots of smoke her way. She took it all in, coughed a bit. She hit her chest as she breathed in. This is some good stuff, she said. John was shocked and wondered who this lady was. Tom gave the joint back to George. You see, Tom said, nodding at John. This guy is the best at crunching numbers in our place. Man, he saved us a ton of money. Not just that, but without him, I wouldn't have this cool lady helping me out. Jennifer gave him a smile, and John saw it wasn't just a normal thank you smile. It had something more. He also saw how she paid close attention to everything he said. Really, Tom said, looking at John? I think of her as my office partner. He touched Jennifer's leg, and John thought he saw Tom's hand move up her skirt. John saw Jennifer blush for a second before Tom moved his hand away. Honestly, I would be a mess without her, Tom added. Me too, John said, watching Tom. He noticed that Jennifer looked down for a second. They'll be right back, need the bathroom, John said, breaking the quiet in the room. Sure, Tom said. It's down the hall, first door on your left. John got up and went into the bathroom. He locked the door, looked in the mirror, and thought hard. Top of his thoughts was that Jennifer might be seeing Tom behind his back. Tom was right about one thing: John was a top-notch number guy because he looked at the small stuff. It was something William showed him when he started. Look, kid, it's not all about the numbers in any deal. The tricky bits are always hidden in the small stuff, the old man said. Keep an eye on those, trust your feeling, and you'll do fine. John kept those words close, and they always helped him. Now he had other small things to figure out. First, there was the thing about Jennifer's dress, or the lack of it. Then how she was with Tom. Third, her using drugs. He never saw her do that before. They never even tried them together, but now here she was, happy to take what Tom gave her. Then how she acted when Tom touched her, and what Tom called her work wife. What was that? Plus all the small things he picked up on for 5 months. All this added up to big trouble, maybe even the end of their marriage. He felt like something bad was going to go down, and he knew he had to leave with proof. He thought about just grabbing Jennifer and going, but that would likely just lead to a big argument, and put off what seemed sure to come. He saw his cell phone peeking out of his shirt pocket. That was it. He took out his phone, started recording a video, and then put it back in his pocket. After using the bathroom and washing his hands, he got ready to face whatever was outside the door. As he walked back in, he saw Jennifer quickly sit up from the coffee table. He noticed a few small bits of white powder on her nose, likely from sniffing cocaine. Tom and the other 3 men had white powder on their noses too. He saw guilt on her face. He sipped from his glass and saw tiny bits of some powder in it. What the heck? He put the glass down, seeing everyone's eyes on him. He tried to speak but just felt so tired and couldn't get the words out right. You okay? Jennifer's voice came to him. He looked at her all confused, words lost. Tom and the 3 men got up. Jennifer grabbed Tom's arm as she stood too. He looked at everyone, wondering what was next. Trying to stand was too hard for him. How about a short nap, John, buddy? Tom said as his feet were lifted onto the couch by the others. John couldn't move or speak as Jennifer took off his shoes. He wanted to stand up, take her hand, and rush out. Looking around for anything to help himself, he saw her thawing on the seat where she and Tom sat. He was mad at her. Jennifer came to him and put a blanket over him. He wished he could push her away, but his arms wouldn't move. She bent down and kissed his forehead. I'm sorry, John, she whispered. I really do love you. He couldn't keep his eyes open and fell asleep. When he woke up, it was dark. He wiped his eyes and looked around. It seemed no one else was up. He heard only snoring from upstairs. Checking his phone, he found out he had slept for over 3 hours. He stopped the video he was recording and put the phone away. He snuck up the stairs and peeked into the main bedroom, staying hidden. He saw Jennifer naked, close to Tom on the bed, her arm and leg over him. Seeing this made him feel sick. One of the 3 men was also without clothes next to Jennifer on the big bed. The other 2 men were sleeping too, one on a couch and another in a big chair in the corner. He went down quietly. He wanted to know what they had given him, so he found a Tupperware in Tom's kitchen. He put the drink inside and screwed the lid on tight. Back in the living room, he took Jennifer's keys from her bag and saw a key he hadn't noticed before. It looked like a house key, but it wasn't one of theirs. Acting on a hunch, he pulled the key off and stuffed it in his pocket. Then he had another thought and grabbed Jennifer's phone, putting it in his pants pocket. He planned on going through it later on. Pulling his wedding ring off, he set it carefully on the top of her purse so she would easily see it. He put his shoes back on and crept to the door. Details, he thought to himself. He looked around but didn't see a security system or a console anywhere near the door. Opening the front door, he tried the key. He took off Jennifer's ring. It fit perfectly, just as he thought it might. He quietly closed the door behind him, locking it with her key. He got in his car, closing the door as quietly as he could. He backed out of the driveway and left, not turning his lights on until he was on the street. He had an idea and pulled into a convenience store. He pulled out his phone and looked up his old friend, Ryan Daniels. In the service, John knew him as Corporal Evans, but all his friends simply called him Jake. After he left the service, he started his own private investigative firm, and John helped him with the financial details. "Hello," a sleepy Jake said when he answered the phone. "Hey Jake, it's me, John," John said. "Sorry to call so late, but I need your help." "What's up, John?" Jake asked. "You get in a bar fight and need me to bail you out or something?" "Not quite," John said. "Can you be at my place in about 15 or 20 minutes? "Yeah, sure," Jake said. "Everything all right? What's going on?" "I would rather not talk about it over the phone," John said. "Gotcha," Jake said. "I'll see you in about 20 minutes. "Thanks, buddy," John said. "I appreciate it." "Hey, Semper Fi, do or die, right?" Jake asked. John chuckled. Jake liked to say that a lot. "Ora," John said. They ended the call, and John looked at the store. He thought to himself. He bought a 12-pack of beer and a couple packs of cigarettes. He hadn't lit a smoke since his army days, but now he felt like if he didn't do something quick, he'd end up hitting something or someone. When he got home, he threw the beer in the fridge, snagging one for himself. He tore into a pack of smokes and fired one up as he flopped onto the couch, using a gift dish with their photo in it for an ashtray. It was a wedding gift for them, and Jennifer liked to fill it with sweets. He didn't mind if Jennifer would nag about the smoke smell, not after what went down earlier. Just then, the doorbell rang, and it was Jake. He let his buddy in and handed him a beer. "What's going on?" Jake asked as he cracked open his beer. John spilled the beans about the mess from before. "Damn," Jake said after hearing it all. John passed him the bottle with the spiked wine. "Can you check this out?" he asked. Jake nodded. "Sure, but it might take till Monday or Tuesday to know anything," Jake said. "I also need all you have on Richard Bennett, Michael Thompson, Patrick Wilson, and Simon Clark," John said. "Johnson works at Baker Engineering. No clue what he does." He pulled up a video on his phone, searching for a shot of all 4. "Hey, race a pic, not great though." "Got it," said Jake. "You need eyes inside his place and yours too if you can do it," John said. "Hey, race a key." No sign of an alarm, but who knows? Jake took the key and looked it over. "Right," he said. "But you get this won't work in court." "Yeah, I knew," John said. "This is just for us. I really don't care about what's right or wrong now." "I get you," Jake said. John gave Jake a spare key to his place. "Take this key," John said. He scribbled a 4-number code and handed it over. "And this is to get past my alarm. I might not need the key. I can set up some tech gear while I'm here," Jake offered, giving the key back. Top-notch cameras, sound gear, everything. I can even catch what's said on your phone. Do it, John agreed. What will this cost me? Don't stress, Jake replied. You helped me big time in Iraq. It's the least I can do. Thanks, buddy, John said. At least let me pay your costs. Fine, if you want, Jake said. What else you got? We only saw a bit of your video. Let's watch some and look for hints. John played the video again from the top. Hold on there, Jake said. John hit pause. Can you go back a bit? John rewound, and they saw Jennifer finish a line of white powder on the table. John stopped the video. Damn, he murmured. I caught her sitting back, but there's clearly white powder on the table. Sure looks like it, Jake noted. Ever seen Jennifer do that before? John shook his head. Nope, he answered. All right, let's see what else we got, Jake said. John hit play, and they saw when John sat down across from Jennifer. Wait, Jake said. John paused the video again. What's that? He pointed at something on the other chair. John squinted and saw it was Jennifer's underwear. Oh man, he said. I saw that just before I blacked out, but I thought my eyes were tricking me. She must have taken it off right after I went to the bathroom. He played the video, and they could see when the drug began to hit John. They saw the camera aiming up as he lay down, and looked as the other four stared down at him. They heard Jennifer ask if he was okay and Tom telling him to nap. Then they saw Jennifer bend over him and whisper in his ear. John remembered this, but he couldn't recall what came next. You sure you don't want to tie him up and have him watch us? George asked. No, Jennifer said. This is enough for tonight. We have all week, you know. We can always go further if he doesn't fit in, Tom said. You know, Eric likes guys and girls. Maybe he could show old John a new side of fun, he added, making everyone laugh. John felt his cheeks get hot as he heard Jennifer join in. That I would like to see, she said. Really? They heard Alex ask. You'd let me do that with your man? Why not? She said. Maybe if you're kind, you can get him to do more while I join in with a toy. They all laughed again. Wow, never had a Marine before, Alex said. I bet he can't do it as well as you, though. John had to stop himself from smashing his phone. But really, Tom, is he going to be okay? You didn't give him too much, right? Jennifer checked. No worries, Tom said. He'll sleep for about 12 hours, wake up a bit off. He'll think he just had too much to drink. Tomorrow, I'll show him the really strong stuff. By this time next week, John here will love it. Maybe I'll even make him yearn for me. Shame his dad can't see his hero fall. Is that why you're mad at him? They heard Jennifer ask. All through college, that's all I heard about. John going to school while serving his country, how he worked hard while fighting for America. Sometimes I felt Dad wished John was his son instead of me. Well, guess what, Dad? Now I'm the boss of John. I got his girl, and soon your top guy will be lost to bad stuff. They all laughed at that. Are you guys with me? He asked. They heard them all say yes. How about you, Jennifer? You in? If not, say now, and you're out with him. I'm in, Jennifer said. I've come to like this too much to leave. They think she meant liking Tom's thing, as we couldn't see what she was talking about. Okay then, Tom said. Let's go up and start the fun. Good, Jennifer said as they walked up. This time, I want you guys to fill me up. They couldn't see the move, but they heard sounds of them being together from the room. John stopped the video and put his head down. Jake put his hand on John's shoulder. I know this is hard, but we'll help you, he said. John nodded. Thanks, Jake, he said. What will you do? Jake asked. I'm leaving her, no doubt, John said. I get it, Jake said. Why don't you take a break from here for a bit? Let me and the team handle this. What are you planning to do? John asked. It's best if you don't know, Jake said. But I'll say this. We just saw a bad plan. If I can, someone will end up in jail. But you need to get away for a while. I can help, John said. Jake shook his head. No, Jake said. You're at risk now, and we don't want you facing them. Remember old Gunny Johnson? He's retired in Houston now. He owes me a few favors. He said he'd find me a place if I ever came to Houston. I'll call him and see what he can do for you." John nodded. "Okay," he said. "Let me set up the sound and video here, then I'll go." "You got to stay put, okay?" John nodded. "Thanks, Jake. You're a real pal." "I'm thankful," John said. Jake grinned. "Always loyal, buddy." "Go all out," Jake said. "Hell yeah," John replied. He went to the back deck with a beer as Jake put sound and video gear in the living room and bedrooms. Jake also hooked into the house phone. He made it so all sound and video saved to a cloud thing online. After done, he gave John the web place and how to get in to see the files. He showed John the button to turn the spy gear on or off. "I'll ring Gunny tomorrow and tell you what's up," Jake said. "Well, fix this. Don't mess up, you got it?" "I got it, Jake," John said. "Hope so, John," he said. "Stay strong, mate. I'll ring you?" "I will, Jake," John said. "Thanks a ton for all." After Jake left, John went on his computer and checked his bank stuff. He had an old account just to himself from before he wed Jennifer. He put 10 of what he made in it, just in case. He hoped to spend it on a cruise for Jennifer as a surprise, but that's over now. He moved half from their shared bank to his old one, then paid off and cut their shared cards. He had a card just to himself from the old account. Closing that down, he packed clothes for a few days and put the bags in his car. Back inside, he saw their wedding photo on the wall above the fireplace. Jennifer looked so pretty in her wedding dress. He was so happy then, thinking he was so lucky. But not now. Mad at her cheating, he grabbed a big knife and cut up the photo. Once done, he looked around and took down every photo showing Jennifer. He threw them all into the fireplace. He ran upstairs, grabbed her wedding dress from the closet, and threw that into the fire too. He thought about lighting it up right then but decided to wait. At that moment, he was full of deep, dark hate for her and wanted her to see their marriage burn with her own eyes. Then he got another idea. With a beer in hand, he went back to the couch and picked up his phone. He sent the video to himself and checked it on his laptop. He wrote a simple, clear letter to every person on the board and to David, the temporary CEO, explaining what had happened. He remembered a tip from William: the board didn't like threats, but they would listen to a careful breakdown of events. He didn't know David well, having only talked to him a few times, but he hoped he was as sensible as the board members. He didn't threaten anyone, but he pointed out that Tom, as a leader, was supposed to follow certain rules about behavior. His actions, along with his wife's, were the exact kind of wrongs these rules aimed to stop. He also pointed out these wrongs were against the law and could lead to big problems and shame, the kind that could wreck a firm like Carter Financial. He shared his long history with the company, his deep respect for William, and his hope that they would act rightly. He went over his words, tweaking a bit here and there. Happy at last, he wrote an email, attached the letter and the video, and sent it to David and every board member. He told them he'd be off for a week but reachable by email or phone. He guessed he'd hear nothing until Tuesday, and by then, he planned to leave this place. He sat back, lit a cigarette, and put it in the candy dish, letting the heat touch Jennifer's picture. That's what he wanted to do to her right then. He picked up her phone, knowing the code since he set it up for her. Going through her texts made him madder. It seemed they had been together for 9 months, but only in the last 3 did Jennifer start being mean to him about Tom. Of course, he thought her being with Tom was mean enough. He found a lot of pictures of a man's private part, which John had to say was big. He wondered if it was Tom's or someone else's. There were other pictures too, pictures of Tom and Jennifer being close and dancing, maybe in Austin, and pictures of Jennifer with signs of being with more than one man. Other pictures showed her with 2 men at once. One showed a big man behind her and Tom in front. He wondered who took these pictures and whether they were taken with this phone or another. She also had videos on the phone, videos of her with Tom and other men, including the 3 from the party. No wonder she acted like she knew them, he thought. So this is what she did while saying she was on work trips. He saved everything he could and sent it to himself using her phone. By then, he had finished 6 beers and half a pack of cigarettes, putting them out on her picture in the dish. He looked outside and saw the dawn. Soon, he thought, she would wake up and find out he was gone. He thought she'd be up soon, so he grabbed his gun, checked it was ready, and locked his door twice. Then he laid down on the sofa with the gun close and tried to sleep. Jennifer woke and saw it was 8:30 by the clock next to Tom's bed. She got up, went to wash up, and by the time she was done, Tom and the rest were awake. Tom put on a robe and asked, "Jennifer, want to help make breakfast? John might want coffee if he's up." "Yeah, okay," she said. She wore a robe, went down barefoot to the kitchen, started coffee, and went to wake her husband in the living room. Then she saw he wasn't there. The blanket she'd put on him was moved, and his shoes were missing. She ran around the ground floor, thinking he might be in the washroom, but he wasn't. Looking out the front window, she saw their car was gone. She turned and saw his ring on her purse on the coffee table. "Oh no," she gasped. She ran upstairs, calling out. Tom caught her as she ran into their bedroom. "What's wrong?" Tom asked. "He's gone," she said. "Gone? What do you mean?" he asked. "He's gone, damn it," she yelled. "He got up in the night and left, took the car, and left his ring." "Damn," Tom said. "You better call him, see where he is, tell him to come get you." "Okay," she said, running back down. She put John's ring in her purse and looked for her phone, but it was missing. She was sure she had it with her last night. Tom was now downstairs too. "I can't find my phone," she said. "It's fine," Tom said. "Use the landline." "You don't get it," she said. "I always have it with me. It's got messages and the photos and videos you sent. If he's got it, he's seen them." "Don't sweat it," Tom said. "We just need to get him here. Me and the guys will handle it. Call him." Jennifer nodded and picked up the phone in Tom's place. Her hands shook as she dialed John's number, hoping he'd pick up. "Hello," John said, sounding like he just woke up. "John, it's me," she said softly. "What do you want?" he barked. Jennifer jumped. He had never talked to her like that. She knew he had to be really mad. She had no clue. "John, you weren't here when I woke up, and I got scared," she said. "Are you okay? Why do you care?" he snapped. "Please, I need you to come get me at Tom's," she tried. "Please." John laughed. "No way," he snapped. "I'm not dumb anymore. Don't call me sweet names again." "John, don't be mad," she begged. "I do love you." "Yeah, right," he said. "Tell me another." "John, we have to talk," she said. "You're right, we do," he agreed. "Then come get me at Tom's," she said. "We can talk on the way back." "Nope," he said, making her flinch again. "I'm not coming over. If you want to come home, walk or get an Uber. We just need to talk about breaking up." "What do you mean, breaking up?" she asked. "That's what happens when people divorce," he said coldly. "I don't want a divorce," she said. "Well, I didn't want to be tricked and cheated on," he said. "Get back home if you need to talk, but hear me, don't let Tom or any of those guys bring you. I have a gun, and if they come in my house, I'll shoot them dead. I swear. You got that, girl?" "Okay, I'll grab an Uber," she said. "Do that," John said, "and bring cash or your bank card." "Why?" she asked. "'Cause your credit card's dead," he said. "Why is my credit card dead?" she asked. "I cut it off last night," he said. "Oh," she said low. "You know where my phone is?" "Yeah, it's on the coffee table," John said. "Found a whole bunch of pics and videos. Now I see what you and that jerk were doing when you said you were on work trips. They'll help me in the divorce." "Oh my God," she whispered. "John, I'm so sorry," she said. "I didn't want to hurt you." "Shut up and keep your lies to someone who cares," he said. "If you want to talk, do it now and come alone." "I'll be there," she said, ending the call. She put the phone down and looked at Tom. "Well?" Tom asked. "He won't come," she said. He said I need to go to him. Fine, Tom said. Well, take you? She shook her head. No, she said. He got a gun and said he'd shoot you. I think he means it. He was so mad, like I've never heard before. Tom thought, then went to his study. He came back with a syringe. Here's the plan, he said. Put this in your purse. Call an Uber, and we'll follow you. When you get a chance, stab him with it. All of it. Then call me. Well, be close. Well, grab him, put him in my car's trunk. What's this? She asked. It's a mix I made for him, Tom said. Some strong stuff, smack, and a thing to knock him out. It works fast. Don't fret, it won't harm him. Just jab him with it, and when he's down, call me. Okay, he gave her the needle, and she slipped it into her bag. All right, she said. Just swear you won't hurt him. Well, try, Tom said. Right, guys? He said, looking at his three pals who chuckled. He looked back at Jennifer. Go on, book your ride. She booked an Uber for herself in 30 minutes, and went upstairs to get ready. After her ride came, she took off. Tom and his mates followed her in their car, parking a block away. They didn't see the white van parked across from Tom's place. Soon after he talked to Jennifer, John's phone buzzed again. It was Jake calling. What's going on? He asked. Just letting you know, some of my guys heard a talk between your wife and her friends, Jake said. What? John asked. How? Just the magic of tech, mate, he said. It's crazy what we can hear these days with a fancy mic. Your wife is catching an Uber, and her gang is tailing her. They plan to drug you, then take you. Whatever it is, it's in her bag. She's going to use it on you when she can. My team will tail Tom and his group once they set off. Man, John said. Yep, Jake said. Just stay sharp. I'll text when they head out. Turn on the spy tools when she arrives, and I'll keep an eye out. I'm not far. I'll call the cops when it's time. Be ready. Okay, John said. Thanks. He waited and then got a text. They're on the move. It's go time, John told himself. He had around 20 minutes before they came, so he hid the shotgun where he was sure Jennifer wouldn't easily see it, and turned on the spy gear. Then he went to the kitchen and got a plastic bag for the syringe and a tissue. He saw the Uber stop in front of his house and watched as Jennifer paid the driver and stepped out. She looked really worried and held her purse tight over her left shoulder. He flipped the switch to light up the fireplace and watched as the pictures and her dress started to burn. She came to the door and opened it slowly. She made a face as she smelled the smoke. John didn't care. Her eyes popped when she saw the ruined portrait above the fireplace, and then her dress and photos turning to dust. My wedding dress! She cried out. Our photos! John, why are you doing this? Tears ran down her cheeks, but he felt nothing. I wanted you to see what you did to us, he said. She saw the beer bottles and cigarette butts in her sweet candy dish. I thought you couldn't drink much, she said, and I never knew you smoked. I did smoke but quit, he said. And about drinking, truth is, I turn real mean when I'm drunk. Last time, I almost beat a man to death. He was bigger than me. I chose never to get drunk again. Just like you chose to be with Tom. Oh my God, John, she sobbed. What did I do? You tell me, he said. What happened to you? You were the nicest, calmest person I knew. Did you take dumb pills? Did Tom hit you with some crazy love bean? Since when do you do drugs? And all these men you're with customers mostly, she said low. Tom made me do it. Great, John said. You know what you did could make Carter's money go under. Tell me, when did you first want to drug me and hurt me? Was this your plan, or did Tom make you do it? She stared at him, shocked. I didn't, she started, but John stopped her. Shut it, he snapped, pulling out his phone. He played a video and let her listen to her own voice and her friends talking while they stood over him. She went pale hearing her own words. How did you find that? She asked. It's not important, he said. What matters is David and the board saw this video. The cops will see it too. We're done, and if I have a say, you'll be behind bars for a long time. I just want to know why. You don't get it, she said. It's a long tale. Maybe you can tell me when I'm less mad, John said. He watched her as she tried to open her bag, but before she could, he grabbed it, spilling its contents on the table. He saw a syringe with dark stuff inside and picked it up with a tissue. Was this for me? He asked. Do you even know what's in this? Not really, she said. Not really? He mocked. So you were going to inject me, not knowing what it could do. You're twisted, you know that? Did Tom make you do it? She nodded. Yes, she said softly. If Tom told you to hurt yourself, would you? He asked. Let me guess. You inject me, then call him to come get me, right? Shamefully, she nodded again. Yes, she said. Okay, John said. You're going to call Tom. Put it on speaker so I can hear both sides. You're going to tell Tom you did what he asked, John said. He'll handle it from there. But don't you let on that I'm waiting for him. Got it? So I'm setting him up? She asked. Yes, John said. Any questions? She shook her head. No, she said. I get it. Good, John said. Now do it, and no funny stuff. John watched as she made the call and put the phone so all could hear. Tom, it's me, Jennifer, she said. It's done. John's out. Good job, Tom said. Well, come over now. She hung up and looked at John. He's going to be mad when he sees you're not really out, she said. Too bad for him, John said. Remember, no hints, no giving it away, or I might take you out myself. He sat back and waited for Tom to show. Through the window, he saw Tom and his 3 friends come in. He closed his eyes just a bit but kept watching. Tom came in, looked around, then walked towards John. You did good, he told Jennifer. Now we're going to shove him in the car. Tom bent down to grab John, but before he could touch him, John's eyes snapped open. Tom was caught off guard, and John hit him hard in the throat. Tom stumbled back, and John got up. Tom tried to clear his head, but John kicked him hard. The other 3 tried to jump in, but John's crew following them held them back. Tom was down, hurting bad. John moved in, knife in hand, and pulled Tom's head back. Say sorry to God, John hissed. I'm going to end you. Tom was so scared he wet himself as Jennifer watched in shock. Who was this man? She wondered, as John pushed the knife closer. Jake stepped in. Enough, Jake said from the doorway. Stop! Yelled Jake, catching all eyes. Don't do it. Drop that knife. Cops are coming. He needs to go. John yelled. By then, Jake was by Tom on the ground. Yeah, he's bad and should be gone, Jake spoke, but not by you. If you do it, he won't feel a thing. Hell just be dust. But you? You'll be locked up. You want him to pay, but that's no payback. This isn't like war, pal. Let the law handle it. I'm asking you as a mate. Let's not do this. Let the cops take him. Hell, get what's coming. All of them will. John looked at his buddy. He could see Tom scared, shaking. He slowly moved the knife away and got up. Down there, Tom was crying. Jake flipped him so he faced down and tied his hands back. Jake then told Jennifer, you two down? And she did, facing down, hands back. Tears dropped as she saw a photo of her and John burn up. John watched from the sofa as Jake checked the ties on both Jennifer and Tom. His crew had 3 more tied up outside. They heard cop cars pull up. Give me your phone, said Jake. I'll talk to the cops first. John handed it over and watched as Jake went out. Tom lifted his head, looking at John. The smirk was gone. Seems he needed a real scare to lose it. You know what? Dad did like you more, Tom said. John shook his head. Not true, Tom, John said. He just wished you'd grow up to fill his shoes. Did you almost chop my head off? Tom asked. I guess we won't know, will we? John replied. But I can tell you this. Where you're going, the folks won't think twice like I did. And if you ever come at me again, I won't think twice either. Tom laid back, quiet. 3 big cops came in and looked around. They picked up Tom and Jennifer, told them their rights, and took them to their cars. One cop saw the needle in a bag on the table and picked it up. Was this for you? He asked John. Yes, he said. The cop wrote down what John said. After a bit, he looked at John. You know you're lucky, right? He said. Nope, John said. My Marine buddy had my back. The cop smiled and shook his head. Semper Fi, the cop said, shaking John's hand. Ora, John replied. After they left, Jake walked into the room and sat down. Got another one of those? He asked, nodding at the beers. I might have a few, John said. Isn't it a bit early after what happened? No, Jake said, as John gave him a beer. How you feeling? Okay, John said. Feels like when I was in Iraq. Need to cool off a bit. About that, Jake said. I talked to Gunny this morning. He said he's got it all sorted if you want to hit Houston for a few days. Gave me his number for you. I might just do that, John said. Got some stuff to sort out here first. Jake pulled out a couple of cards and gave them to John. Here's Gunny's number, he said. And this other one is for a divorce lawyer, Karen Mitchell. She's tough, really hates cheaters. I made the call to her this morning. She's waiting for you to come by her office at 8 a.m. sharp next Monday, Jake said. Thanks, John said, his head moving up and down. For everything. Hey, always together, bro. All in, Jake said. John laughed at that. Yeah, big time, he said back. After they had finished their drink, Jake got up and looked around. This place looks like it needs a clean, so I'll head out, he said. See you, buddy, John said. I'll swing by later to pick up all the spy stuff. Jake left, and John started to clean up the house. Later that day, a call came from Christopher Walsh. John, it's Christopher Walsh, the older guy said when John picked up the phone. Yes, Mr. Lee. How can I help? John asked. Just call me David, he said. I saw your email and the video. The board and I all think you're right about what you wrote, which was really something. Thanks, David, John said. You're welcome, he replied. We also think Jennifer and Tom need to go for good. They're locked up now. I'm going to handle it myself at the jail. And there's more. What's up? John asked. We think you should take a break, cool off a bit, David said. Got any place in mind? A buddy said he'd have me in Houston for a few days, John said. Got a lawyer meeting Monday, then I'm off. Houston, David said. Sounds perfect to forget all this for a while. Have a good trip, John. Well, see you back in a week from Monday. Thanks, David. I'll do that, John said. Just one more thing, David said. With Tom gone, we all think you're the right guy for his spot. Me? John said. Sure, David said. We like how you did things, and the top folks have been watching you for some time. They're really happy with your job. You'll get a bigger pay and some extra stuff with that step up, but you earned it. Thanks, David, John said. Hold off on thanking me, David said. First off, we need you to keep an eye on the outside checkup we're having. We got folks from another group coming to look over all that Tom did while he was here. They'll talk to you, and you'll let me know what they find, good or bad. That sounds smart, John said. Since I sent that email, I found out Tom made Jennifer do bad things with some of our clients. Oh no, David said. I'll trust you to handle it. For now, have a good trip, and we'll catch up a week from Monday. See you then, David, John said. Thanks. After talking with David, John got his house in order, then cut the grass like he did every Saturday. He called Gunny Johnson later, and they caught up. Want to come out for a bit, have some fun? Gunny asked. Yeah, sure, John said. Great, Gunny said. Come over. They'll sort you out with a nice place and show you around. Then you're on your own. Just remember, this is Los Houston, not Bangkok. They had a good laugh at that. He'll keep that in mind, Gunny, John said. See you Monday night. See you, John, Gunny said. Jake dropped by to pick up his stuff. Quick news, Jake said. Cops raided Tom's spot and found a ton loads of drugs, gear, sex things, videos, the lot. Looks like Tom was into some messed up stuff. My buddy on the force thinks they might even find kid video in there. Wow, John said. After dinner, John was so tired he went right to sleep. The next day, he started throwing away all of Jennifer's stuff into trash bags. He put them in the garage, planning to wait before giving them away, just in case she ended up in jail. While cleaning out her clothes, he found a really big black toy that scared him. It was huge, like a hat. He guessed that was for him, and it made him shiver. He also found something weird he couldn't name. After looking it up, he found out it was for keeping a man from enjoying himself too much. It seemed there was no end to how bad she could be. He bagged up her things and put them in the garage. The next morning, he was at lawyer Karen Mitchell's place by 8. She took him in at once. She read his papers and listened as he talked. She told him about how California splits things in a divorce. Since they didn't have kids and the house was his first, had likely keep it. She said the money left in their shared bank would probably go to Jennifer, but she couldn't use her cheating against her in court. The crimes Jennifer might go to jail for, though, could affect things. Michelle also thought it was not likely he'd have to give money to Jennifer while she was locked up, but that might change when she was out. "I'll try to make this easy," Michelle said. "I'll get the papers ready and send them to her. If she agrees, we'll go to the judge, then we wait 9 months," John said. "Yes." Before he left, he paid her for her work. He made a stop at the local jail to tell Jennifer he was getting a divorce. He sat down and watched as she was led in. She looked tired, and the orange outfit didn't suit her at all. They picked up phones to talk with a thick glass between them. "Hi, Jennifer," John said. "Hi, John," she replied. "I went to see a lawyer today." "I'm going to get a divorce," he said. "I guessed you might," she said. "When do you go to court?" he asked. "Tomorrow morning," she said. "The DA wants to keep us in jail with no bail." "That's probably for the best," he said. "Tell me the truth now." "What's that?" she asked. "How did things get so bad?" he asked. She looked ashamed. "At first, the job was going well," she said. "Tom seemed okay, but everything changed after William died. Tom was mad he didn't get promoted and blamed you, thinking his dad had set it up for you." "That's nuts," John said. "William always hoped Tom would take over someday." "I know," she said. "We went to Austin that weekend at a club with some clients. We danced and drank. Sure, I flirted a bit but didn't think it was too much. Suddenly, I felt amazing, and the next thing I ended up in bed with 2 of the guys. Tom joined later." She paused. "The next day, I saw what had happened and felt so bad," she said. "Then Tom showed me some photos and videos he took. He said he'd show them to you unless I did what he wanted. So he forced you to do things," John said. "And I bet he gave you drugs too." "He did," she said. "He told me later." "Not shocked," John said. "They found lots of drugs at his place, even ones for making people fall asleep without knowing." "Did he make you take drugs like cocaine?" She nodded. "Yes," she said. "And weed and other stuff." "So how many of our people did you sleep with?" John asked. She just shrugged. "I don't know," she said. "Lots. Tom set it up, and that's what I did when we went out." John shook his head. "I found some of your things," John said. "Did you plan to use them on me?" She started to cry. "Yes," she said, crying. "I'm sorry. I didn't want to." "You seemed into it," John said. "Drugging me, attacking me, making me a toy for Tom's fun. Was our dinner about the Henderson project?" She shook her head. "No," she said. "It was for planning Friday's party." "So you planned it all before?" John asked. Jennifer nodded. "Yes," she said softly. "I'm sorry, John." "That's the only thing you've said that I believe," he told her. "Can you forgive me?" she asked. He laughed a bit before he answered. "No way," he said. "You were with that jerk, and who knows how many more. Then you plotted to drug me and hurt me. You're crazy, and don't even think about staying friends." I get it, John, she said. I hope it was worth it for you, he said. Bye, Jennifer. He hung up and saw her do the same, tears on her face. He went home, packed, and left for Houston. He met Gunny Johnson there, and they had a good time. At dinner later, Gunny showed him around and offered tips for the game tables, then walked him to his room. John walked in and saw a young girl with dark hair sitting on the bed. She stood up when they came in. John, meet Candy, Gunny Johnson said. She'll show you around while you're here. Gunny, I don't think I need this, John said. Don't worry, son, Gunny said. After what happened with your wife, this is what you need. Have fun, and what happens here stays here. They all laughed. Well, I have to go. Have fun, he said and left. John looked at Candy. Are you, he started. Escort, Candy cut in. Call girl? Not anymore. Gunny helped me get out of a bad spot. Now I'm clean, in school, and working a real job. He told me about you and asked if I would spend time with you. That's it. If you want, I can go, and you won't see me again. No, John said. Gunny's right. I could use someone to talk to, and you seem nice. Want to go out for a drink? That sounds good, she said with a smile. They went out, had drinks, talked, and danced for hours, then came back to his room. She stayed the night and made him forget his worries. He woke up to her making him feel good. After they showered together and got ready. I have class today, but I can meet you here tonight, she said. Let's do that, he said. They kissed and she left. He had breakfast, then went to the casino. He won $700 listening to Gunny's advice. He spent it on dinner, drinks, and a show with Candy that night. She made him happy again. The week went on like this, and by Friday, he was ready to go back to his life. Candy was sad to watch him leave, but she got it. She gave him her phone number and email in case he ever wanted to reach out. He liked her but didn't see it turning into something big. She was way younger and had her whole life to live yet. He thought, who knows? He drove home, smiling, thinking of Candy. Once home, he caught up on news about Jennifer and her group. The judge, after seeing proof from the lawyer, made them stay in jail with no way to get out. He also heard from Michelle that Jennifer got the divorce papers. Michelle said Jennifer signed them right away, and they were now with the court. In 6 months he'd be free from her. On Monday, he went back to work to find his stuff in Tom's old office. Everyone said hi and good luck in his new job. He got comfy in his new space and met the outside checkers. He helped them get ready and met his new helper, Linda Perez. He had known her since she joined the company years ago. He liked Marcia, knew she was married, and had done well in her job before. She also knew about his tough time and was kind not to bring it up. The checkup found lots of wrongs in Tom's work. Tom had lied about money on trips with Jennifer. Then they found out Tom messed up some client accounts. They told the SEC, and Tom ended up facing big trouble with the law. John and David had to spend lots of time fixing the problems Tom left. Thankfully, they didn't lose any clients due to their quick fix, but they had many tough talks with other bosses who were, of course, upset. Through this time, John kept in touch with Candy, mostly by emails. Soon, she told him that she found someone at school, and they were really into each other. He wasn't shocked and wished her the best. At the same time, Jennifer and Tom's legal fights went on, with new charges added and lots of back and forth in court. John ended up testifying against his wife and her group. Even though her lawyer told him he didn't have to do it since she was his wife. I know I don't have to, but I choose to, he said to her lawyer. Plus, she won't be my wife much longer. The jury couldn't believe what they heard from him, and they were even more stunned when they saw the video John recorded that Friday night. Then came the day when the jury was ready to share their decision. John and David were there in the courtroom and saw Jennifer, Tom, and the other 3 guys brought in. None could look John in the eyes. By then, the trial was big news. The court got quiet, and the judge asked the jury if they had made their decision. The leader stood up and said they had. As everyone waited, the judge listed the crimes, which included plans to kidnap and hurt someone. Tom had extra counts for the drugs found at his place, and the bad photos and videos with young girls. They were found guilty on all counts. The judge said when they would be sentenced, and the 5 who were found guilty were taken away. John and David left, dodging the many reporters trying to get their story. About 10 days later, they got their sentences. The judge was super mad at them all and really laid it on heavy. Tom's 3 pals got off a bit easier but still had 20 years to face. Jennifer got 25 years, maybe more, and Tom was hit with 50 years. Plus, he also had to deal with big trouble from the SEC in another court. Jennifer cried as they took her away. Tom just hung his head low in shame when it was his turn to go. But about half a year later, Tom was gone for good. He was found without his head in the shower. Seems like he made some folks mad with his cocky way. A month after that, John was in his office doing work stuff when Marcia called him. "Mr. Miller, Dr. Sophia Harrison is here to see you," she said. That last name grabbed John's ear. "Let her in," he said. The door opened, and in walked a nice-looking blonde lady. Her hair was long, and she wore a skirt that went down to her knees. She smiled and reached out her hand. "Good to meet you, Mr. Miller," she said. He shook her hand and asked her to sit. "Call me John," he said. "Want something to drink? Coffee, tea?" "Coffee's good," she said. "Black, please. And call me Kristen." John told Marcia to get them coffee and sat back down. "Carter," John said, eyeing her. "You related to William? His kid, maybe?" She gave a smile and shook her head. "No," she said. "I'm his niece." "I get it," John said. "I thought I knew all of William's folks." "I've been tied up," she said. "I was in France when Uncle William passed and couldn't make it back for his goodbye." "So what brings you here?" he asked. "I just wanted to meet the guy who beat my mean cousin," she said. "He wasn't your favorite, huh?" John asked. She shook her head. "No, not at all," she whispered. "I'm just happy he's finally got what was coming to him. I'm really sorry for what he did to you. From what I've heard, you didn't deserve it. And I'm sorry. My uncle told me a lot about you." "So you're a doc?" John asked. "A doctor? No, I got a PhD in business stuff," she replied. "I teach at Stanford. My uncle and I like some of the same stuff, but I'm all about school stuff. And no, I don't want to be the big boss." John chuckled at that. They kept talking until she said she had to go back to work. John didn't want her to leave, and to be honest, he liked this woman. "Hey, Kristen," John said. "I would love to keep talking, maybe over dinner, if you don't mind hanging out with someone who just has an MBA. She smiled, her eyes shining. "Nothing wrong with an MBA," she said. "I would like going out with you. Dinner sounds good. How about Cheesecake Factory at 7 tonight?" She gave him a card with her number and where she lived. "Cheesecake Factory it is," John said, taking the card. "It'll get you at 6:30. Okay, see you then, John." "It was nice meeting you," she said before leaving. That night, John found out that Tom had tried to hurt her right after she turned 18. Feeling shame and scared she might be blamed, she kept quiet, stayed away from William and his people, and stayed away from men because of what Tom did. She spent months talking to a therapist while in college. He told her his own story with Tom and what happened with Jennifer. Kristen was shocked but not surprised. "I'm so sorry," she said. John and Kristen fell hard for each other after dating for a bit. When he popped the question, she jumped on him, covering him in kisses. "So is that a yes?" John gasped for air. "No," she answered. "That's a big yes, Marine. Now pick me up and take me to bed." "You got it," John said, lifting his future wife. He felt sure things were on the up. Thanks for watching. What would you do in John's situation? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories.